everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, now dubbed by Disney, or current Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it, Legends. Today, for you, I have one young adult book and two comics for you, and those two comics being the Jango Fett, just titled Jango Fett comic by Ron Mars, along with the Zam Wessel one, which are kind of two-parters with each other. But starting with Jedi Quest, Book 2, The Trials of a Jedi. Obi-Wan and Anakin go to just do like a training mission so their bond can kind of grow. They're supposed to be chasing this other Jedi who's really good at tracking and hiding and stuff like that, and they're supposed to catch him. Other events ensue within that story that culminate into something else. And by the end of it, we have a mysterious new enemy. Who is this mysterious enemy? What does he want? We don't know yet. But that is pretty much it without getting into spoilers for what that small story is about. I'm sure as later on we get into the stories, I might have to get more spoilerish and in just my plot synopsis. I'll try not to. But I mean, I'll tell you if that's the case ahead of time. But because, I'm assuming the books will be interconnected like the Jedi Apprentice stories were. But that's about the bare bones of the story. The character development between Anakin and Obi-Wan, I absolutely love. Jude Watson is amazing in the fact that she wrote Jedi Apprentice. She had a very specific relationship with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. And now she's reversed that relationship on its head. We have Obi-Wan as the master, Anakin as the Padawan, but even still, their relationship is completely different to Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Their relationship, even now, Anakin clearly cares about Obi-Wan so much and takes issue with the fact that he feels like Obi-Wan doesn't trust him. At the same time, Obi-Wan at this point in time is, for the past couple years, he's been trying to be Qui-Gon, trying to teach his past self. But Obi-Wan isn't Qui-Gon, and Anakin isn't Obi-Wan. So it requires different approaches. And Obi-Wan clearly has a great deal of care for Anakin at this point. But as you can see, at least from these first two books, even a little bit of Outbound Flight, which I just reviewed, this is a constant thing. Like, episode 2 isn't just like, oh, Anakin just sucks. You see in this series how much Anakin cares about Obi-Wan. But there's also a lot of conflict between them. Anakin doesn't like that Obi-Wan doesn't tell him everything. Meanwhile, Anakin doesn't tell Obi-Wan everything. I mean, Obi-Wan tries to give him the lessons that, like Qui-Gon would give to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan would be kind of annoyed, but, accept it. When Obi-Wan says, well, the bad guy got away. Trouble will find us. We'll deal with it when it comes. Anakin's like, no, we should deal with it now. Deal with it now. We don't have to worry about it later. Take out the threat now. And even though he listens to what Obi-Wan says, he doesn't really agree with it. But he just keeps it to himself. He doesn't want to argue with his master. Now, of course, by the time we get to episode 2, he's 19 or 20 by that point. He's seeing Padme again. All those emotions are rising up. And, he's being a bit more of a brat. And more of his things that he kept in his head are coming out to the forefront. But I enjoy the dynamic a lot. And you can see the care that they have, and that bond will grow as we get into Clone Wars. But there's still all this friction between them. They were never as gelled as Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were. On the one hand, I feel like just with the movies alone, it feels like Obi-Wan and Anakin were closer than Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were. At the same time, there was always more conflict between the two of them. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot more stories involving this. This is going to get picked up later on in Jedi Quest. But it was overall a really good read. There's also a really, really, really great little connection here. This isn't a big spoiler, but I will say, I'm not going to give you the whole thing. I'm going to get that in spoiler section, but non-spoiler wise, I'll say, episode 2, Obi-Wan goes to a diner, like a 50s looking diner, to get information. Now, the way Jude Watson connects this to her previous series is so clever, and I will talk about that in spoilers. I won't talk about it here, but it's awesome. Moving on, we have Jango Fett, just this one shot. I mean, it's a two-parter to the other comic, but overall, this comic is it's okay. The art, while unique, I didn't really care for that much. Jango Fett goes on another bounty hunter operation to go get this artifact from this planet that can harm the Jedi in some way, shape, or form. He doesn't know what it's for. He doesn't know what he's doing with it. We just find out that's what it's for. He gives it to this guy, he leaves. And that's pretty much it for the first half. The big chunk of this story is continued off in Zam Wessel. The best part of this comic for me was the very small moments. The moments between him and Zam Wessel. The moments between him and his son. Those were the moments I really appreciated from this. Other than that, the story overall is pretty generic and pretty whatever. The second half, again, continues off of it. This comic is called Zam Wessel. Here, we have much better art. I much more prefer it. We have the guy from the last comic that got this artifact. He's part of this, like, crazy terrorist faction that, sees all their woes and troubles is coming from Coruscant, so they want to just get rid of Coruscant. And this artifact, I guess, is imbued with force powers for some reason and can somehow blow up the entire planet. And of course, Zam Wessel is a bounty hunter, but she's not a horrible person, and so she asked Jango Fett to help her stop it. At the same time, on the Jedi Council side, Yorl Poof, the big long neck boy, has been issued to go deal with that as well. And overall, this comic, because it dealt with that Jedi, because it dealt with Zam and Jango again, it was overall just a much better experience. Of course, they kind of go hand in hand together, and so I mean, if you're gonna read the Zam Wessel one, I recommend reading the first one, the Jango Fett one. And I mean, even though the Jango Fett one, it's nothing really special. The fact that we don't really have that many Jango stories before episode 2 makes me say you should definitely read this one. Though, of course, the best Jango Fett comic is Open Seasons. But this is a pretty fine story together. And there is an amazing thing that happens at the end of this story that I won't talk about until spoilers, but rest assured, there is a death in here. And I will talk about that in spoilers. Overall, guys, thank you all so much for watching. The next video, I think, will be Jedi Quest books 3 through 6, and then the following video will be books 7 to 10, and then we'll move forward in our expanding universe journey, being done with Jedi Quest. So those of you who don't want spoilers, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give a thumbs up and sharing episode 10. But if you don't want spoilers, now's probably the time to go. I'm going to spoil stuff. If you're a veteran or you just don't care about spoilers, then stay here. Spoilers again, last warning. Okay, starting with Jedi Quest. We learn about this person that hired all these bounty hunters on this planet, because of course it starts off as normal training exercise, becomes this whole thing running away from bounty hunters and whatnot. Granta Omega. Now, I know who this person is because unfortunately I was spoiled on it. I'm not going to talk about it here, even though the people who are here know about the spoilers, because it's not really relevant to this particular book specifically. So I'm not going to talk about it. But Granta Omega is the one. Really cool name. He's the one that orchestrated all this. Stop being like Qui-Gon. That's something that Obi-Wan has to learn in this series. He has to learn to be his own person, and to train Anakin differently, which is really cool. Lastly, the connection. In the Jedi Apprentice series, Qui-Gon was best friends with this guy that owned this diner, this cafe area place. And he also had a daughter that Obi-Wan became friends with. And in this series, Jedi Quest, we learned that they sold the diner. Who did they sell the diner to? But the guy we meet in episode 2, who gives Obi-Wan information. And that connection is just, it's so clever and so amazing. And next time I go through the expanded universe, which won't be for a long time after I actually finish it again, it's just gonna be amazing knowing that that diner that Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan go to is going to become the same diner that we see in episode 2. And I just love that they bothered to give a connection like that. And then, of course, the death in the comics. There are 2 people we don't see in the council room in episode 2. That being Jarl Poof, the long neck guy, and Yaddle. Now, we have not gotten to the story with Yaddle yet, so I won't talk about anything about that yet. But we lose a Jedi Master here. And what's amazing about that is the fact that this is just a little 2 comic series. And yet, it gave us an explanation for a movie character being missing from a movie. And I absolutely love that. That's why the expanded universe is so great, that it could do that it could explain things like that. It just makes the experience all the more worth it. Because now I can go in episode 2 and I can be like, well, I know why that guy's not there. I know why Yaddle's not there. Because of these stories, because of the expanded universe. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. I don't have too much to say because it was just comics and the 1 book. But hopefully I'll have more to say with the next video as we deal with 4 books. Thank you all so much for watching. As I said before, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Sharing helps a ton. And may the Force be with you. Until next time.